Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon when I first noticed the change. The sun had been hiding behind the clouds all day, casting a soft, almost nostalgic glow through my kitchen window as I sat at the table, sipping my coffee. At 46, I thought I had everything figured out, or at least, I liked to think so. A successful career, a comfortable home, a routine that provided a sense of security. But all of that felt a little emptier lately. I was just starting to lose myself in a daydream when I heard a knock at the door. Not the usual knock. This one was hesitant, almost as if whoever was behind it wasn't entirely sure they should be there. I opened the door to find Rachel, my neighbor, standing there with a small envelope in her hand. "Hey, I know this is a bit unexpected," she said, her voice shaky, "but I have something I need to tell you." Rachel was in her late 40s, like me, and we had been neighbors for about 5 years. We'd shared casual conversations over the fence, the occasional coffee, and even swapped recipes now and then. I always thought she was one of those people who had it all together, polished, confident, and always with a warm smile. She had this calming presence about her, and there was something in her eyes that always made me feel like everything would be okay. But that day, there was something different about her. Something heavy, something she was trying to hide beneath the surface. I stepped aside to let her in, offering her a seat at the kitchen table. She hesitated for a moment, glancing at the envelope in her hand as though deciding whether or not to speak. "I wasn't sure if I should bring this up, but I trust you," she finally said, sliding the envelope toward me. I glanced at it, just an ordinary plain envelope with no markings or name. "I don't know who else to talk to, and I think you might understand." I took the envelope from her, my curiosity piqued. I opened it slowly, trying to gauge her reaction. Inside was a single folded piece of paper. I unfolded it carefully, my heart beating faster as I read the short message. "I need your help. You're the only one who can understand. You have no idea how much you mean to me. Please don't tell anyone. I don't know what else to do." I looked up at Rachel, who was now sitting with her hands folded on her lap, her eyes avoiding mine. She seemed fragile, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. "Rachel, what is this?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, afraid to break the tension that hung in the air like a storm cloud. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she clasped them together. "It's something I've been carrying for a long time," she began, her voice soft but steady. "Something I've never told anyone, not even my husband." I could see the weight of her words in her eyes, the depth of the secret she was about to reveal. And yet there was something in me, a quiet part of me, that felt like I had a responsibility to listen, to understand. "I've been living a lie, I guess you could say. And I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending everything is fine. I trust you, and I need you to know something about me, about my past. It's something I've buried, something no one knows, not even the people closest to me." My heart raced as I waited for her to continue. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew whatever it was important. I couldn't help but feel that this moment would change everything. Our relationship, our friendship, maybe even my understanding of who she really was. Rachel hesitated again, as if deciding whether to go on. I could tell this wasn't easy for her. But I also knew she wasn't going to back down. She needed to tell someone. She needed to be heard. "I wasn't always the person you see now," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "A long time ago, before we moved here, I was in a relationship. One that changed me in ways I never expected. And one that I thought I had left behind." She paused, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I could feel the tension, the vulnerability, and the secret she was carrying like a heavy burden she'd been unable to put down. "You see, before all of this, before my family, before we became neighbors, I had a different life. A life I never wanted anyone to know about. But now, I can't keep it hidden any longer. I need you to understand. It's something that has haunted me for years." The shock of her revelation hit me like a wave. I didn't know what she was about to say. but I could feel the depth of her emotions, the struggle she had been going through. This wasn't just about a secret. This was about years of pain, regret, and unspoken truths. "I don't know how to explain it all," she continued, her eyes filling with tears. "But I'm asking you not to judge me. I've made mistakes. We all do. And I've carried this secret for so long, I don't even know who I am anymore." I could hear the rawness in her voice, the crack of vulnerability that made my heart ache for her. This was more than just a revelation. It was a confession, a moment of truth that had the power to shatter everything we knew about each other. As I sat there, unsure of what to say, I felt something shift within me. The woman sitting across from me wasn't just my neighbor. She was someone carrying a past I couldn't yet comprehend. And I knew, deep down, that whatever came next, it would change both of us forever. The silence between us stretched on, heavy and thick, like a blanket that no one dared to disturb. Rachel's words echoed in my mind, but I didn't know how to respond. How could I? The weight of what she had just shared was still sinking in. Her secret was clearly something that had been buried for years, and now it was out in the open, hovering between us like a fragile thing that could easily fall apart. I watched her closely, noting the way she was trying to compose herself, the way her hands gripped the edge of the chair as though anchoring herself to the moment. I could feel her anxiety, her uncertainty about how I might react. But I also saw something else, something I hadn't expected to find. A quiet strength, a determination to confront her past, even if it meant facing it alone. I shifted in my chair, feeling the weight of her gaze on me. My mind raced as I tried to process what she had just said. She had a life before this one, a past that was darker, more complicated than anything I could have imagined. But what was it? What was this secret that had kept her bound in silence all these years? "Rachel, you don't have to tell me everything right now," I said softly, my voice gentle but firm. "But I need to understand. I'm your neighbor. I've always been here for you, and I won't judge you." Her eyes flickered with gratitude, but the tension didn't leave her shoulders. She took a deep breath, and I could see her gather the strength to continue. "I wasn't always the happy, perfect wife you see now," she said, her voice trembling again. "Before I met Thomas, before we moved here, I was involved with someone. Someone who wasn't good for me. Someone who, well, let's just say they didn't treat me the way I deserved to be treated." The words hit me hard. A part of me had expected something, but this felt so much more than what I'd anticipated. There was a pain in her voice, a rawness that made my heart ache. I wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but I knew this was something she needed to say on her own terms. "I was young and naive," Rachel continued, her eyes distant as though she was reliving those years. "I was caught up in the excitement of someone who made me feel special, made me feel alive. But in the end, it was all a lie. I don't know how it happened, but I ended up getting involved with someone who used me, manipulated me." I could see the pain in her eyes, the way she had to force the words out as if they were daggers she was reluctantly pulling from her chest. I didn't interrupt, didn't try to fill the space with words of reassurance. She wasn't asking for that. She was asking for understanding, and I was willing to give it. After that relationship ended, I thought I had left it behind. I thought I could forget it. But I didn't. It stayed with me. It haunted me. And now I realize it's been affecting everything in my life since then, my marriage, my friendships, even my relationship with myself. I swallowed hard, my own emotions rising up in my throat. It wasn't just a story of betrayal or heartbreak. It was a story of self-discovery, of a woman finding herself after losing so much along the way. I understood that better than I'd like to admit. I, too, had gone through my own battles with identity, with what I thought I was supposed to be versus who I really was. "But Rachel, why now? Why are you telling me this after all this time?" I asked, my voice filled with curiosity and concern. She hesitated for a moment, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "Because," she said quietly, "I can't keep running from it. I've been hiding behind this perfect life, this facade that I've built to protect myself. But I can't do it anymore. It's not just about me anymore. There are things I need to confront, things I need to make right, and I need someone to understand. Someone who won't look at me like I'm broken or unworthy." Her words stung, cutting deep into the part of me that knew exactly what it was like to wear a mask, to hide behind a smile when everything inside was falling apart. It wasn't just about a past mistake. It was about the emotional toll that those years had taken on her. I could feel the weight of it, pressing down on her like a storm cloud that refused to clear. "I don't know what to do," Rachel said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I feel so lost, like I don't even know who I am anymore." I reached across the table, placing a hand gently on hers. It was a small gesture, but in that moment, it felt like the most significant thing I could do. "You're not alone, Rachel," I said, my voice steady but kind. "You're not lost. You're here. And that's what matters. You've already taken the first step by opening up. You're stronger than you know." She looked at me, her eyes filling with gratitude, but also something else, relief. Like a weight had been lifted, just a little bit. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. "I don't know what will happen next," she admitted, "but I'm finally ready to face it. I need to stop running from my past. I need to take responsibility for the choices I've made and find a way to move forward." We sat in silence for a few moments, letting the words settle between us. I could feel a shift in the air, the subtle tension that had hung over us for so long starting to ease, even if just a little. Rachel wasn't asking for forgiveness. She wasn't asking for pity. She was simply asking for acceptance. For someone to see her as more than the mistakes she had made, and to acknowledge the courage it took to face those mistakes head on. "I'm here for you," I said softly, my voice full of sincerity. "Whenever you need to talk, whenever you need someone to listen, I'll be here." And in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about Rachel's secret. This was about two women, two people, finding connection, understanding, and respect in a world that often felt isolating. It was about discovering the strength to face the past, to embrace who you truly are, and to rebuild from the pieces that remain. The days following our conversation felt like a blur, a strange mix of quiet reflection and cautious optimism. I found myself thinking about Rachel more often than I cared to admit. Her confession had left an imprint on me, one that was hard to shake. There was something profoundly humbling about her vulnerability, the way she had trusted me enough to share such a deeply personal part of her life. It made me think about my own secrets, the things I had tucked away and buried, far too afraid to confront. But now, it felt different. Rachel's bravery had given me a glimpse into a space where honesty and emotional clarity could exist, even if just for a moment. We had agreed to take things one step at a time. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I could sense that Rachel had already made her decision. She wasn't going to let her past define her any longer. She was going to step out from the shadows, ready to take responsibility for the choices she'd made, and most importantly, she was going to start healing. As the days passed, I watched her carefully. There was a quiet strength in her, a change that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but I could feel it. She was beginning to come alive again, not as the woman hiding behind a mask, but as someone who was finally allowing herself to exist, fully and unapologetically. One evening, as I was sitting on my porch with a cup of tea, Rachel walked over, her posture a little more relaxed than it had been before. She had a warm smile on her face, but her eyes, those eyes, told a different story. There was still uncertainty there, but it was mixed with a glimmer of hope, something I hadn't seen in her before. "Hey," she said softly, as she stood at the bottom of my stairs, hesitating just a moment before stepping up. "Mind if I join you?" I waved my hand in a welcoming gesture. "Of course. I was just enjoying the quiet. Come on up." She smiled, her steps a little lighter than usual as she climbed the stairs. When she settled into the chair next to mine, she didn't speak immediately. It was as if she was gathering her thoughts, finding the right words to say. I could tell something was on her mind, something important. "I've been thinking a lot," she began, looking out over the small yard that separated our homes. The breeze rustled the leaves, creating a calming, rhythmic sound. "About everything." about what I've told you, about the past, and about what comes next. I waited, patient, letting her set the pace. I think I need to make a real change, she said, her voice tinged with conviction. I've been hiding behind this wall, convincing myself that I didn't deserve anything more than what I had. But now, I know better. I deserve to be happy, just like anyone else. I deserve peace, and I deserve to live a life that isn't dictated by the choices I made years ago. Her words hit me like a wave, washing over me with such intensity that I almost forgot to breathe. It was like hearing someone speak the truth about their soul, and it left me in awe. How could someone have carried that burden for so long and still come out the other side with such clarity? I don't know what it's going to look like, she continued, turning her gaze toward me. I don't know if Thomas will understand, or if anyone else will. But I can't keep living in this bubble of fear and shame. It's time for me to let go of what I've been holding on to, even if it means breaking free from everything I thought I knew. I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for Rachel, for the woman who was finally reclaiming herself. It wasn't about what others thought or how they would react. It was about what she needed to feel whole again. I think I'm going to take a break from everything, she said after a pause, her voice barely above a whisper. Just for a little while. Maybe go on a trip. Clear my head. Find out what I really want, not what I think I'm supposed to want. Her words were both liberating and bittersweet. I knew that Rachel had been running on autopilot for far too long, living a life that wasn't entirely hers. This trip, whatever it was going to be the first step toward discovering who she truly was beneath the layers of fear and regret. And that was something I admired deeply. Rachel, I said gently, I think that's a wonderful idea. You deserve that time. You deserve to find yourself again. She smiled, but there was a vulnerability in her eyes, an unspoken question lingering between us. Do you really think I can do this? She asked, her voice soft and uncertain. I reached over, placing my hand on hers, grounding her in the moment. I know you can, and you're not alone in this. Whatever you need, I'm here. A small, tearful smile tugged at the corner of her lips. Thank you. You don't know how much that means to me. We sat in silence for a moment, the soft evening light bathing the yard in a warm glow. The world felt still, almost as if everything had stopped to give us this moment of quiet reflection. Sometimes, Rachel murmured, I wonder if I've lost everything I ever wanted. But now I'm starting to believe I can have something better. Something real. Something just for me. Her words resonated deep within me. I had never seen Rachel like this before, not even when she first arrived in the neighborhood all those years ago. There was a new light in her eyes, a determination to not just survive, but to live. I'm proud of you, I said quietly, feeling a lump form in my throat. You're stronger than you think. Her smile deepened, and in that moment, I knew she was starting to believe it, too. As Rachel stood up to leave, she paused at the door to my house, turning back to face me. Thank you for listening, she said softly, and for being there for me. I know I've kept a lot from you, but I don't think I can carry this burden alone anymore. You never have to, I replied, watching as she disappeared into the night, the quiet hum of the evening wrapping around her like a protective cloak. I sat there long after she had gone, reflecting on how far Rachel had come. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was hers to walk, and I had no doubt she was ready to face whatever came next. The secret she had kept hidden for so long was no longer a weight. It was the key to unlocking the future she deserved. The weeks following Rachel's decision to take a break were filled with a quiet tension. I could sense the changes within her, though she hadn't returned from her trip yet. She kept in touch, sending short messages every few days to update me on her progress. Each text felt like a small victory, a sign that she was taking control of her life and finally allowing herself the freedom she had been seeking for so long. One afternoon, about a month after her departure, I received a call from her. Her voice, when she spoke, was different. It carried a sense of clarity and purpose that I hadn't heard before. I'm back, she said, her tone steady but filled with emotion. And I think I've figured it all out. I could hear the weight in her words, the layers of thought and emotion she had worked through during her time away. I had no doubt she had confronted things she'd long buried, things that had been keeping her from moving forward. "I've decided to move out," she continued, a soft chuckle escaping her lips. "It's time for me to start fresh, to live a life that's truly mine. I've already found a place. It's not much, but it's enough for me right now." My heart swelled with pride for her. I couldn't imagine how difficult this decision must have been, leaving behind the home that had once been filled with so many memories, some painful, some bittersweet. But now she was finally stepping into a future that was entirely her own. "That's amazing, Rachel," I said, my voice catching in my throat. "I'm so happy for you." "I don't know what I would have done without you," she said, her voice quiet but sincere. "You've helped me see that I'm not defined by my past. I'm not the mistakes I've made or the person I thought I had to be. I'm me, and that's enough." Those words, "I'm me, and that's enough," hung in the air like a melody that played softly in my mind long after we'd hung up. Rachel had finally found her peace, her sense of self-worth. She had embraced the truth of who she was, no longer burdened by shame or fear. A few days later, Rachel came by to say goodbye. She stood in front of my house, a small suitcase in her hand, her posture strong yet relaxed. The woman who had walked into my life all those months ago, burdened with secrets and regrets, was no longer the same. She was someone new, someone who had found the strength to let go and start over. "Thank you," she said softly as I opened the door, "for everything. I know I've been distant, and I know I've kept things from you, but you were always there, even when I didn't deserve it." I stepped forward and embraced her, holding her close for a moment, feeling the warmth of her transformation. I had always known there was so much more to Rachel than what she had allowed others to see, and now I was witnessing the woman she had become, one who was finally free, finally whole. "I'll miss you, Rachel," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "But I know this is the right step for you. You deserve to live your life on your own terms." She smiled, a small but genuine smile that reflected the woman I had come to know so well, the woman I admired more than I ever realized. "I'll keep in touch," she said, her eyes shining with hope. "And who knows, maybe we'll see each other again soon. But this time, it'll be on my terms." I watched as she walked away, suitcase in hand, heading toward the future she had spent so long avoiding. As she disappeared down the street, I couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over me. The Rachel I had met all those months ago was gone, replaced by someone who had found her true self, someone who had learned to let go of the past and embrace the unknown. As I stood on my porch, watching her fade into the distance, I realized how much I had grown through this experience as well. Watching Rachel confront her past and step into her future had taught me more than I could ever have imagined. It reminded me that we all carry burdens, but we don't have to carry them alone. That sometimes the hardest thing we can do is face the truth, but once we do, we are free. In the end, Rachel's secret wasn't just something that changed her life, it had changed mine too. And for that, I would always be grateful.